and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The big debate of the hour. Parliament's monsoon session has opened with confrontation from the very first day, setting the stage for weeks of political fireworks. The NDA government is looking to push ahead with its legislative agenda, which includes spending bills and governance priorities while projecting stability and a strong parliamentary majority. But the opposition has come down with its own agenda. India bloc parties are demanding discussions on the alleged NEET paper leak, the Ayodhya Ram Temple donation controversy, the handling of activist Sonam Wangchuk's hunger strike and other issues they say the government cannot avoid. The protests quickly spilled into the House, triggering repeated disruptions and forcing both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha to adjourn for the day. With the government focused on legislation and the opposition determined to corner the centre, the monsoon session has begun exactly as expected, a high-stakes political battle where every debate, every disruption and every vote will matter. Let's open up this conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Nigat Abbas. She is the Congress spokesperson. Nigat, you know, there are out of the 25 days monsoon session that has been earmarked, there are only 19 sessions that are going to happen. And we already see that on day one of the monsoon session, it has disrupted. It has adjourned twice, and I think just a little over 12 p.m. it was adjourned. Both houses were adjourned to meet again tomorrow. If this is the way Parliament is going to function, how do you think there is going to be constructive work that is happening?
The constructive work can get its accountability, can get its stage only when the people of India believes in that. I mean, you know, clearly the country, the people of our country are not looking for another monsoon session with a lot of speeches. Instead, the country is looking for a monsoon session, which has accountability, which has responsibility, which has answers, which has transparency. I mean, I do not understand as to why this government, who has been in power since 12 years, maximum in most of the states, it has the power, which despite of that fact, this government, very own government, is running away from accountability and answers. I mean, when we have to discuss and when the monsoon session has started, when we can see the Indian youth, the Indian students, instead of the classrooms, are forced to be on the streets because that is the only way they think that the government will be interested to listen to the problems and the education crisis, the paper leaks. I fail to understand why this government, you know, has all the time and power to go and arrest, in a way, Sonam Wangchuk, or maybe put him aside because he was on a hunger strike, but cannot send his very own minister to have a word, a dialogue, a conversation with him. So I fail to understand that why this government...
What is Congress's agenda for this monsoon session of Parliament?
It's not about Congress. I mean, it's very sad that you have to ask me this question. It's not only Congress or the opposition. It is the entire nation who's looking for answers about Ram Mandir donations. We're looking for answers for the NEET paper leak. We're looking for accountability. We're looking for the theft which has happened at the Ram Mandir donations. It was also about faith. It was about transparency. People donated out of faith. We're looking for transparency. The students have committed suicide. You must have seen the videos which have been floating all over the social media. Apparently, not all of the news channels are showing those videos, but I have personally seen and met the people whose parents I have literally seen who have gone to those sites. I have to Jantar Mantar to protest, but despite of that, I do not understand that why a non-violent protest has been gifted by the government, like, you know, with the barricades, with so much of
I will tell you, I can attest. I
don't understand.
Nigat, I can attest to you that these protests, the protesters were not non-violent, they were not peaceful. I have run my camera person and my reporter were there on the ground. I can attest this. I can share with you visuals of a huge mob actually charging at the policeman. A policeman has been overpowered by dozens and dozens of people. These protesters who call themselves peaceful clearly aren't. On those several videos that have been circulating, including the videos that have been shot by my camera person who was on the ground when these protests were taking place today, earlier today. I'm going to quickly also bring in Jasmine Sandawalia into the conversation. Jasmine, what are the key agenda items for the NDA, for the government to be raised in the monsoon session? And are you also going to address the issues of the opposition, as Nigat has mentioned, about the NEET retest, the paper leaks, talking about the Ram Mandir donation scam, talking about the Sonam Wangchuk protests that have clearly turned violent, the issues that the youth of the country are raising, but and also of course, you know, the big demand of Sonam Wangchuk, the students, everybody, that why isn't Dharmendra Pradhan, the education minister, taking accountability for his actions? Why is he not talking to the youth? Why is he not meeting them? Why has he not resigned since then?
Well, let me first of all begin by saying that in a democracy, the opposition has a primary role to raise a voice of dissent, and we welcome that in the BJP. But listening to the Congress spokesperson, I was hearing her in a very bellicose manner blaming everything on the present government. She's allowed to do that, but I would also want to remind the Congress and the opposition party, it can be any other party, that it is very, very paramount and foundational for any MP to come and debate in the parliament. And in the monsoon session, out of the, like you said, there are going to be only 19 sessions in the 25 days. It is the primary duty of every MP to come and debate and not create a ruckus. They have a moral obligation. Please go ahead, raise up issues against us. We appreciate that, but don't stall democracy. Last year also they did this. This year also they're doing this again. Where is the constructive opposition role to be played?
Okay.
And coming to the all issues should be addressed. All issues, whether it is a paper leak issue, whether it is the Ram Mandir issue, whatever issues they want to raise up, please, we welcome that. They should come and debate in the parliament, but don't stall the parliament like this, and don't accuse the government for everything while they have no agenda but to
all
stall.
Right, fair enough. Jasmine, you've made your point. Nigat, I'm going to come to you. Let me also include the other panelists who are waiting to join the debate. Advocate Manasvi Thapar on the telecast with me. Advocate Thapar, let's hear it from you with regards to the key agendas. And although, you know, we are talking about, of course, the delimitation bill that has been linked to the women's reservation bill that was not able to be passed in parliament in the previous session. The government has at this point in time not listed it as terms of its agenda for this particular session, but do you think there is a likelihood that this bill could once again be tabled, and this time around because of the kind of support from Aam Aadmi Party rebels and the TMC rebels and the Shiv Sena rebels, and as well as the NCP and in certain aspects even the DMK at this point in time is looking to consider the delimitation bill, provided it provides fair representation to the states like Tamil Nadu.
Since 2024 and since 2014 also, we could say, the government is at the back foot. This government has never been in the back foot in terms of passing laws. They have been very shrewd. They have been very arrogant in terms of passing laws. They don't care about the opposition, and it's completely okay with them. And we have seen since 2014, not even one session of our parliament, and it's a record. Not even a session of parliament have not been adjourned, Senedine have been adjourned for another day, and there has been not a single day of extension of any time also. So whenever they wanted to pass laws, they never cared about opposition, and this was a very important session for the people in power, was because they lost delimitation and women reservation also they lost, and they did everything. From the last session till this session. So they prepared everything. They broke Aam Aadmi Party, they broke Shiv Sena, they broke TMC. They won so much after 2024, and this has been the strongest Modi government could ever be, with the lowest mandate they had, and they became a very strong force in power right now. But what happened in between was Dharmendra Pradhan's incidents of paper leaks. More than 70 paper leaks in last 10 years have happened, and these are just central paper leaks which we are talking about. And it is okay for the government to not speak a word about it. It is okay for the people in power to not do anything about it. It is the people. You would say that this is Aam Aadmi Party. You would say it's the same platform. You would say it's the same blueprint. But in reality, there has been paper leaks. It's not about Dipke. It's not about cockroaches. It's not about Aam Aadmi Party. It's about paper leaks, and lakhs and crores of people, students, Indian students are suffering because of non-action and a very wrong action already done in the past by the BJP government, and they are not answering on this. And the entire plan of the formation of Bharatiya Jansangh of BJP was on the central figure of Bhagwan Ram's Mandir, that they'll make that mandir there. And when the mandir was finally built, though Supreme Court had a role in it, though Allahabad High Court had a role in it, and BHP had the strongest role in it, RSS had a role in it, but BJP took that as their own agenda. And when it was finally built, there were choris, there was zero accountability. There was this was formulated by the prime minister himself. This trust was built by the prime minister himself, and these trustees were selected by the prime minister himself. And what about the accountability? So on all plans they failed. Otherwise, the two bills which you said would have been passed on day zero. That was the kind of preparation in terms of managing people of MPs of other political parties. BJP is the best political party. In terms of managing paper leaks, it's the worst political party. In terms of managing Ram Mandir, it's the worst political parties. In terms of managing democracy, we could on record say it's a worst political party. But when it comes to managing opposition leaders who have been corrupt, who have been, BJP had the entire campaign of corrupt people against them when they were in TMC, when they were in Congress. When they joined BJP, these people become the chief ministers of BJP. So this is the kind of understanding which the country is asking now.
Okay, Shekhar Vijayan, what do you have to say to what Advocate Manaswi Thapar says, that BJP is not taking accountability for the paper leak? What has happened to the Ram Mandir donation scam, the theft that has taken place? Why is BJP not able to manage its affairs?
Megha, thank you for having me over, and good evening to all my fellow panelists. See, it goes without saying there are leaks in the BJP government. We have seen issues which have come up time and again. Now, this monsoon session is also equally important for the opposition to raise the right kind of voice. We don't want students to be getting lathi-charged and beaten up. I think the opposition has a very important role to play. But I think more than just the opposition, what is happening in the monsoon sessions? Why is the parliament so important? This is not it's not just a session where there are reels made, where people are just making visual spectacle for themselves. It's also about political endurance. It's the opposition has a role to play, the central government has a role to play, and ultimately what voters look at, that's people like you and me, are interested in is what is the outcome. What is the governance? What is the opposition? What is really happening here? There is responsibility, there is accountability, and there is an outcome. Right now, everybody is looking lost. Everybody is feeling lost. The fact is, for a normal citizen, or a citizen is looking for answers right now. And the visuals which you have seen of students getting lathi charged, beaten up, young students, 24, 25-year-olds, why are they getting beaten up? What is the reason for it? Opposition has a very important role to play, but BJP has a bigger role to play in terms of explaining to the normal citizen as to why this is happening. They have been in power for the last 12 years. They know how to do it. They have won elections. They're a winning machine. But if you're a winning machine, can you also govern in the same manner? That's a question they need to ask themselves. The Prime Minister is capable of this.
They have been governing for the last 12 years. They have been getting people's mandate for the last 3 elections that have been won by the NDA.
Absolutely. They have been winning elections left, right, and center. But the moot point is what has happened. All these issues have been creeping up, and what is really important is with the last 3 weeks, the fast which is happening in Jantar Mantar, this could have been taken care of right in the first week itself. You need to have a dialogue. You need to at least collaborate. See, it's very important for the government to understand that they have to listen to the citizens also. We are the people who voted for them. We want them to stay in power.
Do you think the meeting that has happened today of the Union Health Minister JP Nadda with the student representatives, including Deepak, would this help in figuring out a solution, hearing the demands of the students? Does that appease them? Does that also give them a sense of assurance that, the government is listening to them. They are open to having a dialogue, listening to their demands and taking constructive action.
So there are two things to this, Megha. A lot of water has flown under the bridge. That's for sure. There is a lot of public unrest and anger amongst the youth. Secondly, the third thing, what the BJP has done by getting JP Nadda ji to come in and speak to two representatives from the CJP party. At least they're making a start. That's more important. That is making a start. But what one needs to see is it should not be just pure optics. What's the outcome of it? That's important.
Nighat, I'm going to come to you, and besides the NEET and Ram Mandir temple theft, donation theft, and there was, I think, one more issue that has been raised by the opposition, including the Congress. It was about the FCRA amendment bill. What do you have to say to that, and why is the opposition so against this amendment?
See, first of all, this monsoon session, what we want to say is that should not be protecting the government from giving answers. Instead, the opposition has been consistently compelling the government should answer. I'd like to first answer the questions and the concerns raised by the BJP spokesperson. Then I'll one by one come on to different issues. She said that, I can see people on the panel talking about the opposition and, taking the responsibility and accountability. I do not understand that as to why the BJP spokesperson and the BJP leaders, whenever are being asked questions about anything and any accountability, they just try to push it back on the opposition. I mean, it's so strange that despite of the fact today we see so many people, the youth of our country, right there on the streets asking for accountability. The disruption of the parliament would have not happened had it been that the government would have chosen to answer questions to the people of our country. They've been asking. It's not that it did not happen last night. It did not happen 2 days back or 3 days back. The students have been asking questions. Mr. Sonam Wangchuk has been on the hunger strike, and there are many other issues which needs more attention of the government. Say about
let's also understand that Parliament was disrupted in the budget session as well. Parliament continues to be disrupted every single session for the past consecutively one session after another.
That's exactly, Megha. That's the problem. That's because the government is not answering the questions. It's not about this time alone, or it's not about last time, or it is about next time. It is about that whenever the questions are being asked, we do not understand that what kind of democracy Modi ji wants to run, where he is not ready to answer any of the questions. I mean, look at his track record. In last 12 years, have you seen him conducting a press conference? I mean, it feels like a shame to me that, when my Prime Minister is traveling to different countries, also the different countries, journalists are able to recognize that this human being who has been, labeled as the wish guru by his own team is not ready to answer unscripted questions, the questions which will, keep him away from the cushions. That's the problem. I mean, in a country like this where we were promised, then look at the females of Madhya Pradesh, Chhatarpur. You must have seen those videos where women are pushed to such desperation that they are protesting on the funeral pyres. I mean, this is what we deserve.
Okay.
Is this something
all
what
right.
we need?
Jasmine, the Congress at this point of time is raking up the issue of not just NEET, not just Ram Mandir. It is the issue of the Prime Minister not taking questions when he is abroad on foreign tours. I don't know at this point of time, up until budget session, delimitation bill and women's reservation was the #1 agenda. Doesn't seem like that is on the priority list of the Congress, because
No, Megha. Since 2023, what I thought and what the BJP wanted us to believe is that the women's reservation bill is their first agenda. This is what they want to do very desperately. Despite of that, it's been 3 years. I mean, why do they want to hide behind the delimitation? Why can't they give 33% reservation?
The delimitation bill is also okay. Let's hear it from Jasmine as well. Jasmine,
and you also asked me a question about FCRA.
Let us speak, Meghna. We are not getting a chance.
Let me come back to you on FCRA. But Jasmine, yes, you want to make a point. How do you justify all these questions that have been raised by the Congress?
Well, the young lady has a litany of questions against us. First of all, I want to tell her, when she raises up an issue that on the women reservation bill, I want to remind her, since she and I come from the same gender, that it was a very visionary bill envisioned by the late Rajiv Gandhi and his own family. His wife, who was the longest serving president of the Congress party, scuttled it. Even in the Rajya Sabha, it was passed. They had the requisite number. But because their ally, the Samajwadi Party, said parkati aurtein yahan aa jayengi, they did not have the gumption to pass it. So let's not accuse each other about who did what. But I again repeat my pertinent and very foundational answer that please do not stall a democracy in the parliament. Come and sit in the parliament and debate. Don't run away. We are there to answer every question that you have. Stop stalling the parliament and start doing something for this nation. And teach Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the opposition, that he needs to play a center stage oppositional role in this country and not run away and create theatrics and optics.
But Jasmine, there are also questions being raised by the youth of the country, and why wait for the monsoon session to begin? There have been demands that are being made of
you see,
of
Megha,
the
I
education
totally agree
minister.
with you.
Why is he not taking the moral responsibility? Why does he not meet the youth of the country? Why do we need to wait for the monsoon session for members of parliament to debate in the house and then find a solution, if at all there is to be found one?
The Prime Minister office is already functioning on it. On the very first day, a stock was taken. It is not that things are not happening. It is not. And in a democracy, it is very important for people to raise up their voice. The youth have every right. We absolutely agree that the leak has happened. It should not have happened. It should have not at all happened and created havoc and stress for the students.
Sorry, it doesn't work like that, Megha.
Please let me speak. I did not interrupt her, Meghna. Please, this is not fair. This is not.
But you need to understand.
I've given you so much time.
This is unfair.
I'll come back to you, Nigel. Let Jasmine complete her statement. I'll come back to you. You can retort when you have time. When you're giving the platform.
He's got the maximum time on this channel, and this is very unfair. I did not even open my mouth when she was talking. I am again saying that the youth of this country have every right to protest. They have every right to protest. And like you just said, that a very senior leader of the BJP, Mr. JP Nadda, had a meeting today with their representatives. And I am sure things will be resolved very soon.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yes, Nighat, you want to make a point? 30 seconds.
Yes, I just
30 seconds.
I really like with what enthusiasm my co-panelist has been talking about the students. I mean, just go once at Jantar Mantar and try explaining to the parents who are there right at the protest and whose kids have died because of this paper leak. I'm sure you'll be able to convince them, because if you did and if you could, you would have my friend. If the government could, they would have sent Dharmendra Pradhan instead of the police when they sent to pick up Sonam Wangchuk. So, I mean, let's for once, ask for the accountability from the government who has been in power since 12 years. It's not about the slogans anymore, madam. People have died. Students have died. And God forbid anyone from you and I who would know somebody from, dear friends and near friends. I don't want anybody to die like that. I don't want anybody to collapse because of the, scarce education system of our country, which is completely corrupt and now coming to FCR.
Okay, all right. Shekhar, I do want to get a response from you. Do you think the government has done too little too late? And do you think can there be some sort of a solution or redressal found on the floor of the House when the protesters, the youth are, protesting, coming out in thousands and thousands to raise their demand, which are legitimate?
Demands are legitimate, but these
That's
demands are not coming.
Shekhar, yes, go ahead.
My understanding is, this monsoon session is extremely critical, extremely important for both the parties, the opposition and the central government. What we are looking out for is answers. And this is a place where you can have a dialogue, you could deliberate, and you could come. It could be a more collaborative exercise. What we have seen in the past, there's always been log jams, there have been standoffs, there have been fights, there have been arguments, but nothing has come out of it. For a regular citizen, what we are looking out is outcome. What is going to happen out of this? That's important. For opposition has a very important role to play in terms of responsibility. The government has a role to play in terms of governance. and they have to be held accountable for that. That's important. But what's also really important is, what is the parliament? The parliament is the marketplace of trust. If you don't have trust there, the trust is broken, then what you're seeing right now, the students are getting beaten up for just no reason. There's so much of anger, there's so much of unrest. And the only real solution for this is the parliament, where this has to be discussed. There has to be a solution which has to come out of it.
Okay.
Otherwise, that taxpayers' money is just being spent.
Okay, all right, fair enough. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast and sharing your views. I'll take a short break. Thanks for watching.